The corridor leading to our room on the first floor was very dark. As she walked closer to the room, she suddenly heard a voice calling out to her, repeatedly saying, "Mommy, Mommy, Mommy." 欢迎回到
零度空间。
I'm Joey Pink.
I'm Jess.
And 今天我们要 celebrate，OK 啦，没有不是 celebrate 啦，今天是我们2024年的最后一集。今天我们有10个故事，我们选了10个，
对，
要跟你们分享。然后我们还会做一个投票，
对，所以你们听了这10个故事之后呢，你们就可以在 comment 跟我们讲，哎，你们喜欢哪一个故事比较多
？Yes。然后你要投票，因为第1名会有全部礼物。OK， 我们的礼物我们已经收集到，actually 好像还是一样，不过今天有特别多一个新的。OK， 我们先介绍之前的。OK， 我们每个人最喜欢的就是零度空间的杯子，
很可爱，很 cute。
Yes， 还有 EZ-Link card，
有红的也有黑的。OK，
这个是我个人最喜欢的啦，就是镜子。
大家很喜欢照镜子。
对啊，
嗨，
很美。
自夸。
谢谢啊，还有多一个 ，Only 第1名会拿到这个啊。是一个很简约、很简单的一个零度空间的项链，你们可以其实现在很流行挂一些charms 在包包，
对，
还有手机
也可以。
Actually 这个东西其实是早期的2000年流行的啦，but I don't know 现在又流行回来了。So yeah， 第1名会有全部东西，第2名跟第3名会有我选的这2样啦。OK，
一定是杯子 ，OK， 还有那个镜子，一夜暴富，对。
然后剩的呢，就有杯子，就是为了感谢你们花时间那么详细的发你们的故事给我们，
对，
真的很长哎，有些还发图片哎，
对，怎么讲，很有 effort， 你懂吗？
对，感谢感恩。
OK， 我要跟大家说 ，OK。因为很多故事都是用英文来传给我们的，所以呢，我们会用英文再分享给大家。有几个就是用华文的，我们就会用华文来诉说给大家听。OK，Let's go。
OK， 我先。My first story is Nastasia Ching. Okay. Hi guys, I'm Nas from Malaysia. Back in 2018, doing a family trip to Bangkok, we stayed at the Berkeley Hotel for one night. I believe it's a 5-star hotel, so we expected it to be a very pleasant experience. However, we were assigned to the last room at the end of the hallway, right next to the emergency staircase. The corridor was quite dim and eerie. As we casually walked to the room, nothing seemed unusual at first, but my little sister remarked, "OMG, Mommy, they gave us the last room." For context, in Chinese culture, the last room is often considered dirty or haunted. To make things worse, we forgot to knock on the door before entering. When we went inside, we checked the wardrobes and drawers as usual. To our surprise, we found a note with Chinese handwriting. It looked like a child's handwriting, and since I'm a banana, so a term for someone of Chinese descent who doesn't read or write Chinese well, I handed the note to my little sister and she read it aloud. 爸爸和别的女人出去玩，把我和妈妈永远留在酒店。我讨厌那个小三，爸爸不要我们了。So it basically, in translation, it means Daddy went out to have fun with another woman and left me and Mom in the hotel forever. I hate that mistress. Daddy doesn't want us anymore.
Oh my god.
Jokingly, I said I wanted to investigate the case. I even took a picture of the note at first, but after what happened later, I deleted all the photos taken in that hotel. The next morning, around 4:30 a.m., as we had an early flight to catch at 7 a.m., my mom woke up and went straight to the bathroom. The only light on was in the bathroom, so the rest of the room was pitch black. At this point, I was half awake. Suddenly, I saw a dark shadow moving towards my bed. The room was already dark, but this shadow was even darker. I froze, pretending nothing was wrong, and shouted for my dad to turn on the lights. He was sleeping like a log, and I had to shout several times before he finally woke up and switched on the lights. I didn't mention what I saw until we were in the cab heading to the airport. By then, I couldn't keep it to myself anymore, and I told my family about the shadow. Initially, I thought it might have been a dream or my imagination since I was only half awake. But to my surprise, my mom revealed that she also experienced something the night before. She didn't tell us because she was worried that we wouldn't be able to sleep. While we were all asleep, she was packing our suitcase and suddenly heard someone calling, "Mommy, Mommy." Thinking it was my little sister, she turned around, but my sister was fast asleep. Feeling uneasy, my mom quickly finished packing, and at one point, while her head was down, she had a strong sensation that someone was dancing in front of her. But when she looked up, nothing was there. This was actually my first time encountering something paranormal, and to this day, I still wonder if the note we found was somehow connected to him. And yes, I could sense that it was a he. OK， 我为什么会选 Nastasia 的故事呢？是因为 The Berkeley Hotel 是我去泰国住过2-3次的酒店。
哦，那你有没有是类似的经验？
没有，我还蛮喜欢这个酒店的地点，还有来的房间，其实很干净，所以呀，不过我现在读了他的故事，我有一点怕。
没有，因为Nastasia。你住最后一间角落的那一间，你又没有敲门哦，你没有那个 SOP， 你懂吗？一定要有 SOP， 一定要敲门先。And then 尤其是又是角落，那我听到那个纸条的那段，我跟你讲，鸡皮疙瘩。
很恐怖哎。对，这个酒店我相信真的是很多新加坡人去曼谷对吗？都会住的，都会都知道的一个酒店，所以我相信很多观众朋友都听过这个酒店。
我没有嘞，
我
也没有住过。
OK， 你们住过这个酒店的人，可以让我知道你们觉得这个故事恐怖吗？还有，你们觉得这个酒店不干净还是？
可能只是那一间，因为你去过2-3次都没有什么，对吧？OK， 你下次你再去啊。
OK， 我相信我还会住，因为这个酒店真的地点真的很方便。
OK， 等你再住角落那一间。OK， 你指定跟他们讲，我要 corner 那个 corner room。I want that。你讲
No， 神经病，到你啦！我干嘛要做这种东西？
这样不是？等一下你有经验可以分享给大家听吗？对吧？
我不要，我分享你们的故事就好了。
没有，你很喜欢，你就很喜欢看嘛，你很喜欢就是去探险。这是你一个
OK next
OK next 就是应该是 Jun K OK Jun K 的故事 OK 他说 Hi guys I'm K I've been watching you guys all the way since the start of the show love it thank you so much Okay I'm going to share a short story from my past job back when I was in secondary school I work at a zita store in a large canteen As you might know, it's common for coffee shops in Singapore to have prayers tables set up during the 7th month for the good brothers and sisters. Okay, sometimes offerings also made for a child's spirit. One year, the canteen decided to pray for a child spirit whose remains were kept in a small urn. When I saw the urn, I felt pity for them. It was so small with no name or proper setup on the offering table. Feeling sorry for the child, I wrote a Chinese name on a small piece of red paper and pasted it on the wall beneath the offering table where the urn was placed. That night, as I was closing the store, I heard a soft humming of a child. I was curious, so I approached the urn and asked if the humming was from them. Using the Shen Bei, the response was yes. Wanting to show some kindness, I even bought some sweets as offerings for them. A few days later, the boss of the canteen noticed the red paper and asked who had it put up. When they found out it was me, they told me to take it down because they didn't like it. Reluctantly, I removed the red paper. The next morning, as I was getting ready for work, I received a call from a colleague. He told me that the previous night, the boss's wife had been possessed by a child spirit. Through her, the spirit said they were upset because their home, which is the red paper with the name on it, has been taken away, leaving them homeless. Panicking, I rushed to the workplace. They quickly performed a ritual and sent off the small urn to properly resolve the situation. That's it.
等一下，为什么在咖啡店会有？他们会放一个骨，那个骨会那个 N 在那边。
对，我就那一点我就很奇怪，因为我好像没有看过。
呀，这个我也没有看过哎。
对，我觉得俊杰你很有爱心，因为你看他们就好像没有名字啊，没有什么，那你去写了一个名字放在他们那边，我觉得哇很有爱心。and 我觉得就是那些小孩子还是一个小孩，我也不知道，真的很感激你，所以他们才会就是有那个就是所谓你讲的 soft harming of a child， 那你去问他们，用那个神别问他们是不是他们，哇
呀，而且是老板叫他把那个红纸拿下来，对吗？
因为老板不喜欢。
对，你看放上去的是你，拿下来的也是你，但是被上身的不是你。
对，因为他们知道你有爱心。
对对。
而那个老板就是他就是不喜欢而已，没有什么理由，就是他不喜欢。
不过很奇怪哎，真的为什么会在咖啡店摆这个东西来拜拜？
我也没有看过。
真的很恐怖哎，这个也是 OK， 这个也是有点让我不安。
Yeah, OK， 下一个。
我的下一个是 from Jason. My story of the haunted suite in Malacca. Many years ago, I brought my family and my wife's friend on a trip to Kuala Lumpur to meet a group of gaming friends. After spending a night in KL, we headed back to Singapore. But of course, we couldn't skip a stop in Malacca. The Chendol, Nyonya Kueh, and Jonker Walk are must-haves. I always choose Casa del Rio when staying in Malacca because it's close to Jonker Walk. The breakfast is amazing and the rooms are really nice. I usually book the suites since each one has 2 bedrooms, which is perfect for my family of 4. This time, there were 5 of us, including my wife's friend. My wife, her friend, and my younger son stayed in the master bedroom, while my older son and I took the other room with 2 single beds. We were allocated the Zheng He suite, which was my first and only time staying in that particular suite. After a visit to Jonker Walk, we returned to the suite. Once I finished some work, I went to sleep in one of the single beds. Around 1 a.m., I was jolted awake when something pulled my leg. Annoyed, I thought someone was playing a prank on me. However, the master bedroom door was closed, and my eldest son was fast asleep in his bed. Shrugging it off, I went back to sleep. At 2 a.m., it happened again. Something pulled my leg, and this time I woke up furious and shouted, "Who the FUCK is disturbing me?" Just then, the door of the dressing cabinet creaked open. Anger replaced any fear I might have felt, and I challenged whatever spirit was there. If you want to mess with me, meet me on the balcony. Don't touch or hurt my son. I spent the rest of the night sitting on the balcony waiting for the spirit to show itself. Thankfully, nothing else happened. The next day, I was grateful I didn't have to drive back to Singapore as I had arranged for my company driver to handle the trip. Even now, whenever I visited Malacca, I still stay at Casa del Rio, but I make sure to avoid the Zheng He suite.
哇哦，我觉得妈妈你好勇敢。
爸爸，这是 Jason， 他是爸爸。
不是哦 ，sorry，
Yeah，
爸爸 Jason，哇，你很勇敢诶。
对，可是
你还敢喊他？
对你很勇敢，但是你叫他，你 challenge 他，你挑战他在阳台有什么事情的话，到阳台找你，然后你就坐在阳台等他，你就把你的儿子一个人放在房间里面。
没有，可能他就是讲你不爽，那你出来哦。你懂？人家每次讲你不爽，你不然出去啊。
对，然后 what if 你没有，what if 他没有出来，然后他就在房间里面
一直
disturb 你的儿子。
对。
呀、yeah,
还好，之后就没有什么事情发生啦，OK 啦。
对吧？我相信是因为你那么凶，有时候你就是要对他们凶，
哦，
对不对？
他们就怕是吗？
对，因为他很大声的喊嘛，不要再 disturb 我，所以我觉得可能因为你凶，然后他也就 OK， 这个不可以玩，那就做掉了。
对呀，那就到我了。现在我要分享的故事呢，就是戴安娜的故事。你们好，我是戴安娜。在一个很偶然的情况下，我在 YouTube 上看到你们主持的零度空间，结果只看了1集就停不下来了。Thank you， 戴安娜。OK， 今天我终于有一个真实的鬼故事可以分享给你们了，耶！所以故事是发生在他一个好朋友的家里，那位好朋友就称为小梅吧。故事是这样的，那是发生在2021年的农历7月，他们是住在1房1厅的主屋里，地点也蛮靠近4马路那一带的。因为只有一个房间，所以那晚小梅和她妈妈还有她2个儿子4个人就一起睡，而她哥哥和她的老公就睡在客厅里。 OK， 小梅睡到半夜1点多的时候，她的大儿子正在客厅里打游戏，很紧张的进来房间叫醒小梅，问了一句：妈咪 you see that? Why that guy is sitting there? Who is he? How come he's in our house? 这时小梅被儿子叫醒了，眼睛转向儿子说的那个位置一看，还真的是有一个人坐在那边，身穿一件 T 恤和牛仔裤，还背着一个背包，而他的手呢还不停往包里找东西。他的位置很奇怪，因为他是蹲在地上，一直看着小梅的哥哥和她的老公睡觉。这时小梅也发毛了，也叫醒她睡在她旁边的妈妈，叫她起来，问妈妈有没有看到那个人。妈妈从睡中醒过来，看着窗口说：什么人都没有看到啊。而这时小梅就急了，她就告诉妈妈：妈妈，不是窗外，是客厅。妈妈站起来直接走出去，毫无一回事一样上厕所，而小梅还亲眼看见妈妈穿过那个人直接走进厕所里，也同样的穿过那个人从厕所走回去房间。小梅就问妈妈：你没有看到什么吗？妈妈只回答：没有啊，不过感觉有点冷冷的。这时小梅已经2脚发麻了，一点感觉也没有了，就快点把被子盖到她头上睡觉。到凌晨4点多的时候，差不多要天亮了，她再往客厅看一看，那个人就不见了。这时小梅快点叫醒妈妈，把整家的灯都打开。小梅也叫醒她的老公，问他：晚上你睡觉的时候有没有感觉到有人坐在你旁边看着你们睡觉？老公回应：没有啊，什么东西也没有啊，而且我还睡得很甜呢。第二天小梅就请了一位师傅到她的家看一下，师傅就告诉她，因为他们家的木门原本有一张门符，可是因为很久了，符的字体慢慢褪色了，法力就无效了，所以那个东西是从外面跟他们回来的。而不是他们祖先，因为起初他妈妈原本以为可能是他们的祖先，而且他们家里有拜观音的。 之后小米也去了她认识的神坛，问了一下这件事，才知道幸好那天晚上她的老公和她的哥哥睡在一起，要不然那个人就会上她的哥哥的身，因为那个人是想要来找替身的，而她的哥哥那时候运程很低，所以就很容易被这些东西上身。幸好的是，她的老公是阴神的干儿子，身上也带有神明叫雾包贝的符，所以那个人才害怕，不敢去打扰他们两个。之后师傅也重新的给他们新的一个符，就是放在他们的木门上，直到现在也相安无事了。
所以那个
也是
人可能是跟小米的哥哥回来的，
可能
对不对？跟着他回来的。
对，可能还有我觉得是真的是还好，幸好，因为就是她的老公就是那个阴神的干儿子，而她的哥哥是很衰的，因为他的运程很低，当时候。所以还好，她的老公真的是他们睡在
镇住那个场面，
对，他们睡在一起，所以那个人才不敢就是上他哥哥的身，要不然真的是Oh my goodness！
不过他的儿子看到
对，
他的儿子看到，然后小美也看到，
可是小美的妈妈
没有看到，对，没看到，但是小美看到她的妈妈穿过那个人2次，很恐怖这个看到的话。
对，下一个故事
，OK， 我的第3个故事呢是 Crystal。Hi, my name is Crystal and I'm from Singapore. I'm writing to share an eerie experience my mother had on Sunday, 13 October 2024, while we were staying at Patong Resort Hotel in Thailand. The incident happened around 7 a.m. and it was still dark outside. The day before, when I first arrived at the hotel, I didn't feel good the moment I stepped into my room. It was dimly lit, and as soon as I entered, I started vomiting, got a headache, and felt goosebumps all over. The next day, I had diarrhea and still felt unwell. I was scared, so I asked my dad to stay with me in the hotel while my mom went out herself. I should mention that I'm only 12. According to my mom, the corridor leading to our room on the first floor was very dark at that time. Before stepping into the corridor, she noticed 3 or 4 women standing near the entrance, chatting and laughing loudly. Our room was almost the last one in the corridor, but not the very last. So my mom had to walk further in, where it got darker and darker. As she walked closer to the room, she suddenly heard a voice calling out to her, repeatedly saying, "Mommy, Mommy, Mommy." What made it unsettling was that the voice sounded exactly like mine. Fortunately, my mom didn't turn around or look back. She felt uneasy but kept walking until she reached our door. When she knocked on the door, I opened it and greeted her by saying, "Mommy." She froze and told me that my voice in the room sounded identical to what she had heard in the corridor moments earlier. This experience still gives me chills.
就这样。
对
我还以为就是还有后面的故事。
没有，不过I think 他就是讲可能有一个就是在走廊有一个灵还是灵魂在模仿，
就是他
Crystal，
他的声音。
对，然后如果我在想，如果他的妈妈听到然后转头的话，可能就会有不祥的事情发生。
对，后果就不堪设想了。还好他没有，因为他也知道。
又是泰国
对，我觉得泰国很多这种东西，很多就是因为你看又是另外一个就是酒店对吧？就是走廊，
对，然后又是很暗的走廊。这个虽然不是在最后一间，但是还是就是走廊很暗。
他说是很靠近最后一间，
对，
但不是最后一间。还好他妈妈也很灵。
OK，
对，
听了这个故事过后，对吗？我觉得以后 我在走廊听到有一个熟悉的声音在叫我还是什么，我不会回头。
等一下，你的朋友就是叫你Joey，那你就不用
不会，他们啊会模仿
对，
就是他讲跟他的声音一模一样他的妈妈可能差点要转头了。
其实很可怕，因为通常就会，如果我在走廊走的时候，就可能要回房间还是什么，我朋友在我后面叫我，我会转过头的。
But 从现在开始不要回头，你 just 讲，你 just 往前走，你就讲有什么事 text 我就好了。
OK， 好，到我了。下一个故事呢，就是 Ray。So 是英文 ，OK。Back in my mid 20s, I used to ride a scrambler motorbike. Even though I'm a female, wow! I've always enjoyed visiting haunted houses, abandoned hospital quarters, cemeteries, and similar places when I was young. Okay, exactly, 就是像这个 Joey 哈。This incident happened several years ago and is one of the most chilling experiences I've ever had. On one night, 5 of us rode our scramblers to Bukit Brown Cemetery. It wasn't our first visit to the cemetery, but on that fateful night, things took a strange turn. It started to drizzle and strong gusts of wind swiped through the area as we explored the cemetery on our motorbikes. Everything seems normal at first until we found ourselves following 2 rows of candles that led to an open, freshly dug grave. Ready for someone to be buried. Oh my goodness. What made it eerie was that despite the drizzle and strong wind, all the candles were still lit. Yeah. Sensing something was wrong, we decided to leave the cemetery immediately. However, no matter which path we took, we kept ending up at the same open grave about 3 to 4 times. For the first time, I began to feel genuinely scared. Okay, one of my friends then mentioned it could be 鬼打墙. 鬼打墙, yeah. It means it's like a saying whereby the spirits will confuse you and just make you lose your way and always end up at the same area. Okay, so he recalled a myth about breaking the spell by urinating on the ground. So he quickly got off his bike and did so. Oh my god. Okay. Strangely enough, after he did that, we managed to find our way to the cemetery entrance. I honestly can't remember how we finally got out. But the audio wasn't over yet. As we were leaving, one of our friend's motorbike suddenly had a badly punctured tire. In the pouring rain, we struggled to help him and his bike out of the area and get back home safely. Oh my goodness, so poor thing. Okay, a month later, I heard from a friend that the guy who had the punctured tire had fallen seriously ill and have been sick for almost a month. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see him after that, but I believe he eventually got recovered. And Ray have to say it again. This is a true encounter and nothing has been exaggerated or changed.
哇，不过我没有听过解开这个
对
事情，就是要解围这件事情的时候，你要解围，你撒泡尿就可以了。
对，我也没有听过，
没有听过，这是第一次。
对，我有听过，就是人家讲就是鬼打墙，就是一直绕来绕去，就是找不到他们要去的某一个地方。呀，那个我去听过。可是就是我不能。
OK， 我选的另外一个故事呢是 Darren Ang。Hello， 我是零度空间的大粉丝。Thank you。OK， 我想要分享这个亲身经历的鬼故事，我相信对零度空间是一个绝配。OK， 故事开始啦。 我的朋友经常去泰国，对泰国的法科特别感兴趣。他的家庭是普通的华人家庭，也有拜神，但每一次我们进入他的房间时，都会感到一股阴森的气氛。即使没开空调，房间也会感觉到很冷。他告诉我们，他在房间里拜的都是阴神，还养了很多小鬼。
哈，
他安慰我们说，这些阴神和小鬼是用来保护他的，不会伤害我们，叫我们不要怕。我们当时也没有想那么多。有一次我们一起去泰国，他带我们去见他的阿赞，也就是泰国的法师。他在阿赞那里做了一些法事，也买了几个类似玩偶的神像。整个行程的白天都很正常，但一到晚上回到酒店时，气氛就变得奇怪，感觉特别的冷。晚上我们经常听到轻微的声音，比如敲门声、脚步声。最让人毛骨悚然的是，有一晚我们听到厕所的花洒被打开的声音，而我们3人都在床上，根本没人进去厕所。我的朋友胆子比较大，他走到厕所打开门检查了一下，回来告诉我们只是水管松了，叫我们别怕，好好睡觉。但那一整晚我们都没睡着。回国之后，大家各自忙碌，直到2个月后，我们去他家拜访，发现他房间里的神像和那些小鬼的玩偶都不见了。我们好奇地问他原因，他才跟我们说起这些事情。自从他开始拜阴神、养小鬼后，原本和谐的家庭变得越来越不和睦，家人经常为小事争吵。从泰国回来后，他开始头痛，看了医生也没有效果，吃药只能暂时缓解，过一阵子又会复发。他甚至去做了脑部扫描，但报告显示没有任何问题。他还经常感到疲惫，没精力做任何事情，而且一到晚上就会发冷。他和父母商量后，决定去庙里问神。以下是他父母告诉他的情况。当他们去问神的时候，到了庙门口，他突然开始发抖，一直说自己不想进去了。他的父母安抚他，慢慢的将他带入庙里。接近庙堂时，他突然尖叫起来，但发出的声音根本不是他的。我的朋友是个男生，可是发出的声音竟然是一个女人的声音。庙里的乩童出来，在他头上画了手势，并念了咒语。他随即晕倒。他们把他抬进庙里，乩童请神后开始做法事。法事进行到一半时，我的朋友醒了过来，但声音依然是那个女人的声音。她尖叫着，乩童一边继续做法事，一边跟她谈判，是跟那个女的谈判。法事结束后，乩童告诉她事情的来龙去脉。原来有人对她下了降头，而下降头的人就是那个泰国的阿赞。他的阴神和小鬼加强了降头的效果。阿赞的目的很简单，让他不断的回去找他，这样他就能通过解降头赚取更多的钱。降头无法结束，其实是个无底洞。而这次反应特别强烈，是因为我的朋友在泰国买了一个佛牌，佛牌保护了他，与他身上的小鬼发生了冲突。乩童帮他解除降头后，并告诉他家庭不和睦的原因是因为房间里的阴神和小鬼，因此他建议将这些东西带到庙里，由乩童处理。事情解决后，我的朋友头痛消失了，家庭恢复了和谐，生活也回归了正常。
我觉得这个阿赞，不好，所以就是你们要找这些阿赞啊，还是
师傅
之类的，不要乱找
呀，不
对
可以耶。
如果你找到不好的，那你就会像Darren 的朋友一样，就乱就下了降头，then 就是要引你回去一直找他，是为了什么？钱 ？No，不行，真的哇，真的不可以。
不过还好没有事，也还好他们遇到一个乩童可以帮忙解讲。
对，
因为我有听过一些故事，就是他们到了庙门口，对吗？
不可以进去，
他们什么都办不了，然后庙的住持还是什么说，不好意思，我们帮不了你。我有听过这样的故事，所以我觉得他们还蛮幸运的，遇到一个可以帮他们解讲。
他们就是找到一个比较好的、比较强的，能帮他们解。哇，真的是还好，
幸好没事。
对 ，OK，so 下一个就是我来分享伟林的故事。I'm WL, sharing this story on behalf of my husband. My husband used to be a police officer, and this is one of his most eerie experiences. One night before his morning shift, he had an unusual dream. In the dream, he was patrolling at Bukit Batok Xiao Guilin, searching for someone. He didn't think much of it at that point of time. The next morning, when his shift began, he and his team went about their usual routine. Soon after, they were notified of a missing person reported filed at their station. The individual was suffering from an illness, was believed to be suicidal, as he had reportedly been waiting for his time at home. Okay, so without hesitation, my husband and his partner decided to head down to Xiao Guilin, the exact location from his dream. Instead of staying on the pedestrian pathway, they chose to go off the beaten track, trekking up slopes and climbing over boulders. When they reached the top, they discovered a walking stick lying on the ground. At that moment, my husband felt a sudden, chilling shiver. They later then confirmed that the walking stick belongs to that missing person, suspecting that he had jumped down into the pond. They immediately called SCDF to assist in the search. It didn't take long for the divers to find his body in the pond. When their commanding officer asked why they had decided to search in such an unusual area, away from the typical pedestrian path, my husband realized something spine-chilling. Both he and his partner had that same dream that led them to that particular area. Shortly after this incident, my husband fell ill with a fever. This eerie event happened few years ago during the 7th lunar month. 我觉得有点诡异，因为他和他的搭档就同一时间、同一个晚上梦到同一个梦，而隔天他们就是行动同样的东西，你懂吗？就是去到同样一个地方找一个就是什么 missing person。
OK， 这个我非常相信。
为什么
？I don't want to elaborate. OK， 我不要多说。不过我自己有一个亲身经历，就是跟另外一个人有同样的梦。就是有事情发生，然后有同样的梦。
那个事情真的有发生吗？
我不想多说。不过所以我相信这个，我真的很相信这个故事。
OK， 就是说那件事情有发生。哇，我真的 OK， 是我觉得很奇妙，但是就是很奇怪又很可怕的一件事。
我住在Bukit Batok。我的天啊！
你住靠 OK， 我们不要问主意。
看啊，我在Bukit Batok哪里？我在Bukit Batok長大的，所以小桂林这些地方我都有去。不过我真的没有什么听到有自杀的故事在哪里。
其实如果我们有看新闻的话，就是我有看过，就是几件可能就是有发生在小桂林的事嘞。我有听说过，因为有一次蛮久了 ，OK， 很多年前，我和以前的团队就是有去小桂林拍摄的时候，就有无意间就是听到有很多 杂声音啊，就是有很多人在一边，就是来 ，Oh my God，就是是不是有一个人跳进去？因为我还要看到一个人跳进去，这种东西
啊。
Yeah，so
Okay.
I mean 我也不经常去小桂林，因为真的是离我家很远，没有事我不会去那边。但是我相信这件事，还有我也相信，就是在小桂林会有这些事情发生。
呀，不过这个 WL 来，你的先生发生这样的事情，跟他的搭档发生这样的事情，对吗？其实当时我相信他们交谈的时候，真的会毛展哎，
对，
会哎，然后你会觉得来，我的天啊，不就是可能是那个过世的那个人托梦给他们，因为他也知道会是他们两个当值。
Oh my goodness！
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay.
哇，这个故事好。下一个。
Okay， 我要分享另外一个故事呢，是 from Evan。Over 20 years ago, I was a Singapore permanent resident from Malaysia, just starting my career in Singapore. I rented a room in Tiong Bahru, sharing the space with 4 other tenants, and most of whom were also Malaysians working in Singapore. The place I stayed was in Bobo Tan Garden, built in the 90s. It's an old walked-up apartment in Tiong Bahru, an apartment complex that has been demolished and redeveloped into a condominium, the Regency at Tiong Bahru. So now it's called the Regency. Our unit was 44D on the 4th floor at the end of Chey Yen Street, up a slight hill. There was no lift, and yes, the number 44D was not exactly auspicious, but I didn't think much of it at that time. The rent was relatively cheap for the area. And then the room. I rented a room at the back of the unit. It felt more like a storeroom, to be honest. Directly across from my room was the toilet, and next to it was a ladder, not a proper staircase, that led to a square hole in the ceiling, which could be closed with a small hinged door. This attic space was rented by one of my housemates, whom we'll call it the attic guy. The attic was essentially part of the roof, with a low triangular ceiling just enough for an adult to stand. I stayed there for a couple of years, and for most part, nothing unusual happened. However, I often heard strange noises above my room in the middle of the night, like small footsteps, little rats scurrying, scratchy sounds on the metal roofing, and occasionally what sounded like furniture being dragged. I always brushed it off as either rats or the attic guy moving things around. And this is when the horror begins. Despite living there for years, I have never once ventured up into the attic. And one day, the attic guy had a friend over, and that's when things took a turn. According to the attic guy, his friend asked if he often heard knocking noises at night in the attic. The attic guy responded, thinking it was just birds or pigeons walking around on the roof, but his friends shook his head and said, "No, that's not birds or rats. Those are footsteps of 2 small entities living in the house. 小鬼." He went on to explain that these entities were being kept in the attic, and the imprint of a small table on the wall was the remains of an altar. Apparently, whoever had lived there before us had kept these entities but hadn't taken them along when they moved out. Suddenly, it all made sense. The sounds I'd been hearing from above all these years weren't just animals. Soon after this revelation, my housemate started moving out, beginning with the attic guy. The attic was padlocked once he left, but even after he was gone, we noticed something odd. Our electricity bill skyrocketed. We couldn't figure out why one of us finally unlocked the attic. To our shock, the air conditioner in the attic had been running the entire time, even though the room had been locked for months. To this day, I wonder if the unit or the building itself, 44D on the 4th floor, Dead End Road, had something to do with the entities being there. it certainly adds to the mystery. Evan 的这个故事呢，有发一个图，我们这个图我们会放在这里，你们自己看 ，OK？ 不过这个好像一开始就不吉利耶。
因为44吗
44D 又在4楼，然后 ABCD，D 也是 alphabet 的第4个。
哦
Yeah，
明白。哎呀，
所以就是444
对
4楼。
哎，可是我喜欢的号码也是4
OK，
还有24，然后24，人家讲就好像广东话以谁啊，就很容易死一下。
Oh my goodness！
但是我喜欢的号码 OK，anyway，
不过我觉得那个空调开着，对吗？
有
可能是他们锁的时候，
他们忘记关。可是如果他们真的，我觉得忘记关的几率会比较低，因为如果你知道 ，OK， 如果是我去锁，如果我去锁的话，我当然会知道空调是有开的，因为有冷气嘛，冷冷的嘛。我不可能会就是冷冷的，我也不管，我不看那个空调有开吗？不可能啊。
不过如果你在离开那个房间之前不小心按到开空调，然后你就出门去了，
可是你怎么？
所以你就没有感觉到冷，因为刚刚开而已。
可是你怎么是不小心的开的？你懂吗？因为我们懂我们的空调的那个 remote， 就是要没有的很不小心开的。
可能是房东的，我觉得是房东的，
也有可能
呀，
真的是也有可能是房东的。对。
因为之前有个神台在那里嘛，所以你要放神台，租客是不会放神台的，是房东，所以对，应该是房东自己招来的，
可能吧。
然后也是他们养的小鬼。
Next 是 my story，OK， 不是 my story， 是这位叫芷冰。他说 I'm a viewer of your channel and I absolutely love every episode. Thank you. I'm also happen to be a former primary school table mate of Jess in Chinese class. 芷冰 primary school. Oh my god, 小学。
Do you know him?
I think I kinda remember you. Oh my goodness.
你的朋友。
Yeah, hi 芷冰 long time no see.
Hello 芷冰。
Okay, and I hope my story can be shared with your viewers. Here you are. During my time in BMT in 2014, my platoon experienced a rather bizarre and chilling incident. I was part of one of the company at BMTC, School 4. For context, School 4 is surrounded by forests and is located quite a distance away from the 3 other schools. Okay. In BMT, everyone had to wake up for breakfast at 5:30 a.m. and the menu rotated daily. For example, Monday might feature sausage and scrambled eggs, Tuesday, lor mai kai, Wednesday, gardenia bread, and so on and so forth. So one of my platoon mates called David loved the sandwiches, okay? He always tried to smuggle extra sandwiches back to the bunk, even though it was strictly forbidden by the sergeant, okay? It was practically impossible to sneak food back without getting caught. Aha, David. One morning after breakfast, David jokingly told the group how he wished he could bring more sandwiches back to the bunk as snacks to eat after morning physical training. After making the comment, he returned to the bunk to rest for about an hour before the next training session began. As everyone were in their platoon, David had a personal locker cabinet beside his bed, which we were all required to keep it locked whenever we leave our bunk. That morning, we all locked our cabinets and headed to the stadium for our physical training. When the training ended, we were given an hour to wash up and prepare for the next activity. Back at the bunk, David unlocked his cabinet, only to be shocked at what he found inside: a sandwich. At first, he thought someone had played a prank on him by slipping a sandwich into his cabinet. However, he was certain he had locked it before leaving for training. Regardless, David being David, he struck it off. ate the sandwich, oh my god, and went to shower. The day continued as usual. After dinner, we returned to the bunk for rest and personal time before lights out. When David opened his locked cabinet again, he was stunned to find yet another sandwich inside. This time, he started to feel uneasy, thinking it might still be a prank. He went around asking his platoon mates if anyone was behind this. Everyone was just as surprised and amused as he was. David eventually reported the incident to the platoon sergeant, and the sergeant came to the bunk, warned everyone not to play such prank, and threatened to punish them if anyone was caught doing so. The sergeant then told David to eat the sandwich. So he did. The next morning, breakfast wasn't supposed to include sandwich. It was Western breakfast that day. After breakfast, David returned to the bunk again and unlocked his cabinet. Once again, he found a sandwich inside. This time, he ran straight to the company office to report it. The platoon sergeant, now realizing that this wasn't a prank, went to the bunk, retrieved the sandwich, and disposed it. After this strange series of events, David began skipping breakfast altogether whenever sandwiches were on the menu. From that point, nothing unusual happened. Wow.
哈
Wow.
，sandwich，
对，我觉得 OK，anyway，嗨志斌真的是好久不见了，谢谢。
你记得他吗？
我觉得我记得，我觉得你小学的时候很瘦的对吗？很瘦高的，我觉得就是那个志斌，因为我觉得我就是学校以来只有认识一个志斌，就是他了。OK，anyway，你的故事 ，David， 我觉得是因为可能他们的帮不干净，而且 David 又很喜欢吃 sandwiches， 对吗？很喜欢吃三文治。他有时不时会偷是三文治回去他的帮 lock 在他 cabinet。对，我觉得哇，可能那个就是有一个东西，我不知道是什么，可能是有一个东西，就是看到你的朋友 David 很喜欢吃三文治，所以他就那我就做好心人吧，你懂吗
？Yeah， 我觉得那个东西可能很疼 David。
对，
然后他又知道有时候又拖不上去，对吗？会被抓。
对，
没关系，我帮你。
对，可能。呀，对，
幸好不是一个他没有说吃，我以为你会说他吃了生病。
对，我还以为志斌会跟我说他吃了他会生病，可是没有生病。
对，
还好真的是没有生病，所以我觉得那个东西是好心。那个东西
sandwich buffet platoon sergeant made him eat. I'm like, huh？
对，我觉得我还以为他的 sergeant 会叫他丢掉因为你不可以
带上去了吗？所以看到的话就你要丢掉了，还跟他讲你吃了
为什么过了就是早餐的时间你还有一个 sandwich 可能你就不要吃了，对大家公平嘛，大家也没有得吃，那你就不要吃了，
对
哇，很有趣，这个故事真的很有趣。那我们听了10个不同的故事呢，真的是谢谢你们10位分享给我们，还有我们的观众们听。
对，其实真的还有很多的故事。
对，
不过我们真的不能选那么多，不过我们有机会的，还是有机会选到你的故事的。
对，那我最喜欢的呢，其实真的很难选，因为我觉得全部都是很不同种的故事，不同种的经验，而全部都很有趣，怎么办？我真的是选不了
啊！OK， 我说的5个故事对吗？我觉得我最喜欢的一个，如果我需要投票选一个的话，我最喜欢的是Darren 的故事，那个他的朋友被下降头的。
OK，
因为我觉得我分享这个故事也可以让大家知道，当你们去泰国的时候，如果有想要找师傅还是阿赞，要小心，真的要小心。
好，那我们是怎么投票的呢？
在留言区，你可以就是 comment，
就是我们会说，这个是故事1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10 ，OK， 那你就在留言区跟我们说你喜欢哪一个故事 ，OK，那 得到最高票的故事呢，就是我们的 champion
第一名。OK 啦，第一名就这个没有输赢，就是
对
sorry
真的是
没有输赢，不过就是最受欢迎的那个 OK， 你会收到我们的礼包，
对
我们有全部的礼物在里面。投票的截止日期是下个周五，所以你有1周的时间投票。你们看了，然后再叫你的朋友看，然后再分享给你们的朋友看。
对
然后看了，有7天的时间可以看，你们一直重看也可以，然后投票。
那我们也要在这里谢谢大家对我们这一年的支持，耶 ！OK，
耶！
我们会慢慢进步的，请对我们有点耐心。OK， 还有呢，明年我们一定会推出就是更好的作品给大家，更好的节目给大家，
也希望
OK？
会更精彩，
对
也希望我们能够到海
海
外
外
和别的朋友合作。
那我们祝大家
圣诞节快乐，还有新年快乐！
我们2025年见！
哎，等一下，不要忘了点赞、订阅，还有开启小铃铛，耶！OK， 1年了，we still cannot get this right. You won't get it 啦。